Thanks, Lana, for that lovely introduction. Practical and pragmatic. I'll take those too. So welcome. I'm here today on behalf of the What We Were Thinking program, which is developed at Monash University and Jean Hales for Women's Health. So I'm talking to you today about surviving the first 6 months, but I'm helping you through a lens of digital technology and what's available, because we know that we're all online. We all have smartphones. Australia has some of one of the highest uptakes of smartphone ownership in the world. We know that parents are overwhelmed in the sense of the information that's out there when you become a first-time parent. And it's about, like, how do we make sense of it all? Which apps do we download? We know parents are downloading apps to get them through the journey. We know that they're turning to websites to try to find out, what am I supposed to be doing about, how do I settle baby? What's the best thing to do about crying? What's all this information that I have around breastfeeding? It's a little bit overwhelming. So we're looking at, today I'm going to talk to you particularly about one app. There's a lot of information out there, and you'll go home with tons and tons and tons of it today. And this is just one thing that we'd like you to put in your bag and take home and think about. It's free to download. So we'll get to that in a little while, but I guess a bit of an introduction about myself. I'm a social worker, and I work at an organisation called Jean Hales for Women's Health. So we're a leading national not-for-profit organisation working to support women, their health and well-being across all life stages and ages. And when we talk about life stages, there isn't much more of a bigger life stage than becoming pregnant and starting a family for the first time. So particularly around that emotional health and well-being, we're really keen about to supporting mums and dads transition into life with a baby. So at Jean Hales for Women's Health, we have 3 amazing units that all connect to each other and all feed in on each other. We have a research unit, which is at Monash University, and that's headed up by Professor Jane Fisher. She will be talking here this afternoon at 1:30, and she's a bit of a guru in Australia and internationally as well. So if you get a chance to go and listen to her, she's an amazing speaker, and she'll be talking about another element of the What We Were Thinking program. So we have this lovely research branch at Monash University. So everything that we're talking about is all evidence-based. It's all backed by the federal government. It's got more than 10 years of research behind it. Then we have our clinical team, so we're in practical application. Then we have the translation team, which is what I'm a part of. And what my job is to make sure that all that research and evidence and kind of academic literature gets translated into everyday practical health advice and tips for you guys that's practical and pragmatic. So if we look at the What We Were Thinking program, it's been around for about 10 years. And there's really 2 foundations of it. And if I step into my academic hat now, it's really around the essentials of it is preventing postnatal depression. So when we look at some of the risk factors around why men and women can develop postnatal depression, some of those risk factors we can't do much about. Some of them we can. So 2 of those preventable risk factors are having an unsettled infant. So if you have a baby that you can't get to sleep, is crying all the time, that's very distressful. So what we're thinking helps you manage that getting your baby to settle. The other element is the intimate partner relationship. So if you guys, as a couple, as mums and dads and parents, if you're not supporting each other, that's also a risk factor for why wheels might start to come off when you transition into life with a baby. So the What We Were Thinking program looks at getting your baby to sleep, getting in good routines. So every week there's information about that, and then there's information every week about you guys as partners. What's teamwork? How are you guys communicating? What are you thinking about raising your family like? So they're the 2 key things. So evidence-based and informed. It's been around for about 10 years. All the content has been developed by leading clinical psychologists, lactation consultants, maternal child health nurses, paediatricians. And while the program is rolled out in community settings, the federal government said, this is fantastic, this is amazing. The evidence that you have gathered around all your randomised control trials is in terms of reducing postnatal anxiety and adjustment disorders. Let's put that into an app that you guys can use every day that's really practical and pragmatic. So we got money to put the whole program, 26-week program, into this app. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. So the first 6 months, obviously we've got babies on the way, newborns. It's a bit of a roller coaster. It's the highs and the lows. No one can prepare you for it. You can think you can be prepared, but really every baby is going to be different. Your experience is going to be different, and you're just going to have to kind of, strap in and go along for the journey. So we're really about giving you skills and knowledge to help you through those first 6 months. So we do that, as I said, with these online tools and support for new parents. As I said, living in a digital age, we're all on our phones a lot of the time. There's a wealth of information out there. Sometimes all that information that we have access to is a little bit anxiety-inducing in itself. Like, you can read too much sometimes, So we think that this is one that you can turn to that is trustworthy and reliable. So it's called What Were We Thinking? And if you can go on to, if you're an Apple user or an Android user, it's free to download. So you can do that as we speak and have a look at it. And I want to talk a little bit about a blog, because there's a lot of blogs out there. There's a lot of mummy bloggers sharing stories, and the basis behind this one is peer support. So mums talking to mums, dads talking to dads. When you feel that you've got somebody else that's been through this before, that had an unsettled baby, that couldn't work out what was the best way to feed, what was the best way to settle them, what all the crying meant, that they had washing piled up and you weren't the only ones. That reassurance, that peer-to-peer led stories are really important. And this blog shares those parents' stories, so you can go online, read amazing stories that people have shared with us. The difference between this blog and other blogs is that they are responded to by a maternal child health nurse. So we have a team of professionals that respond to those parents' stories with, again, extra advice and strategies and links to further resources. So you get the beautiful story with all the swearing, the no frills, the how hard it was, how much people struggled, and then you get the expert response. So that's the What Were We Thinking blog. And then just a couple of months ago, we re-released the app. So it had been out for a year, so it's all still fairly new, but we re-released it again. Which is very exciting for us, and it's very easy now to use. So who's it for? It's for anybody that's expecting a baby, anybody that's had a new baby. It's really aimed for that first 6 months of life with a baby, that kind of crucial period where if you can get into some good routines and be working well as a team, you're going to be setting yourselves up well. So your health professional can also use it. Your mum, your dad, your friends, anybody that's supporting you, you can give it to them and recommend it to them as well. Sometimes grandparents are a big one because it's been a long time since they have raised an infant, and so if you've got grandparents, it might be useful or your parents to share with them as well, so they can understand what you're going through and how they can best support you. Because all help is welcome to a point, but sometimes it's a bit overwhelming to have lots of people coming and helping you. So this will give you tips and tricks for how you can be assertive and be firm in terms of communicating what your needs are as a new mum or as a new dad. So when we talk about health and wellbeing in first-time parents, and this is a program that is really designed for first-time parents, but it is still valid for any new parent, and even if you have 3 or 4 years or different age gaps between your first and your second, or your third and your fourth, it's still all different another time round. So when we look at some of the topics, a new reality. So this is about adjusting. This is about transitions. This is about helping you negotiate a new world, because it is a new world. It's like before baby and then there's after baby. It's like before Christ, after Christ. So a new reality helps you look at change management. In this together is all that teamwork stuff, that beautiful stuff that mums and dads need to be doing and supporting each other with, because you'll need each other in new ways that you haven't really realised before. And so there will be a shift, so it's important to keep your relationship on a good field. Crying, settling, sleeping, well, they're just essential skills for any new parents. How do you best manage crying? How do you get your baby to sleep? What's the right amount of sleep? And if it's not going all right, how do you manage that? Your needs is one of my favourites. So that's, again, checking in with your health your emotional health and well-being. You know, are you taking a breath? How are you managing, like, are you having mixed feelings about it all? Because that's totally okay too. Like, it's okay to, my colleague was saying at work, sometimes when his baby was really young, he just didn't really like him at all. And that was a real strange feeling because he's crying all through the night, and that's okay. So we talk about having ambivalence and mixed feelings. We talk about how thoughts and feelings and behaviours kind of all can interact. For example, if you're nervous about taking your baby out for the first time, you might be anxious that, you know, they might get a cold or something might happen. So we talk about what that means to have those feelings, how that might impact on your behaviour to then, like, maybe not take the baby to the supermarket or not put the baby on the floor because you're scared it might get germs. And so it's really quite interesting, all the things that it goes into. Every baby is, of course, different, as is every mum, as is every dad. So we look at that from a kind of unique perspective. And growth and development, all that age and stages. So the app developer hates us because he's like, there is so much content in this app. So it's very rich, but it's very easy to navigate. And I'll show you a little bit more about that. And we know that everybody has different learning styles. So, you know, as research says, some people love to read a really, really long blog. Some people are auditory learners, some people are visual learners, some people like to do quizzes. So there's a range of learning formats within this app that helps you find the information that you're looking for in a format that might suit your learning needs. And if you love to write a journal, you can keep a journal in there. There's quizzes, there's activities, there's a whole lot of links to further support. So from there you can call all the maternal child health lines in your state. So you can just easy access to all of those. If you're feeling you need to speak to somebody over the phone as well, it's good referral points. And all of the videos as well, because what were we thinking, the real focus of it is co-parenting. So it's really important that dads are involved too. So it's about mums and dads working together and dads getting involved too. So there's a lot of video content in there just for dads talking to dads. So don't be afraid to download it, dads. And as Lana introduced me as practical and pragmatic, well, we definitely need practical things. New parents need practical information that they can trust. So every week, as you'll see on this screen, you get something for you guys as a couple and then something for your baby. So as I said, you know, new ways and new ideas and ways of thinking to help parents adjust to your new reality. And helping parents better understand and respond to changing relationship needs. Practical solutions for the baby. Once again, you know, if you talk about, you know, risk of postnatal depression, unsettled infant, the research shows is one of them. So if we can help you to get your baby settled and to help you guys getting into good routines, and we can help you guys to support each other, well then we're pretty happy with that, and hopefully we're setting you up with some really cool skills to get you through surviving the first 6 months. That's just a whole lot of the content. As I said, there's 46 topics in there. It probably sounds quite dense, but the way that we've designed this app is that you can look at things to know if you're looking at mental health and well-being, settling, or whatever the topic is, and things to do if you feel like it's quizzes, if you prefer watching a video. So we find that we've tested it with many, many different groups. User testing has really helped us develop this product to where it is now. And we think it's something that all new parents should have. And you can share and you can stay in touch with us on all of those kind of social media channels that we have. But yeah, so as I said, Jean Hales is a leading women's health organisation. This program has been around for more than 10 years. Jane and Heather, the developers of the program, will be here at the Active workshop later on at 1:30, and they'll be talking about communications, communicating as parents together. So if you and your partner are here, you might like to go and listen to them because they're great presenters. They know their stuff really, really well. And apart from that, it's, free to download. And any questions? No? So is everybody expecting? Can you put your hands up if you've got one on the way? Yep. So I feel like that's a lot of you. Any first timers? Yeah, fantastic. So, look, I just think it's backed by the Australian Department of Health, and there's a lot of research that has gone into it, and we know that there's a lot of information out there, and we know that some of that information can, as I said, be overwhelming, and you just need to tune out sometimes. But we do think that there are, certain products like this that will help, and it's not going to be the answer to everything. We don't really talk about breastfeeding, for example. It really is just about looking at your own mental health and well-being, how you guys are working as a team and helping your baby to settle. So kind of like, two major things that we think, will help you survive the first 6 months. And it is all fun and games, really, and it all comes out at the end of the day well. So thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you are around at 1:30, I do recommend going to go see the professor and her colleague, Dr. Heather, talk at the Active Parenting Workshop. Thanks for listening.